Every morning when I get up, I watch a monastic group, the Fraternities Monastique Jerusalem, as they pray morning prayer in Paris. It's a rather inspiring way for me to begin each day. And then later in the evening, more often than not, I watch a vlog created by a realtor in New York City. And he tours the neighborhoods and shows us apartments that are available, but he also tells us what's in the neighborhood, why we might want to live in this area, and he shows different features that might attract us to the apartment. He's very witty. He's sometimes absolutely hilarious, and it's often an entertaining way for me to end the day. And then there's a lot of how-to moments that I experience. That moment when I gotta try to figure out how to fix a problem on my computer or with my iPhone. There was that moment when I bought a shirt and the security tag was still on it, that security thing that's kind of stapled into the shirt. Somehow I got out of the store and I couldn't figure out how to remove it when I got home. So all of these are moments that I try to find videos that are usually helpful and maybe even at times a little life-saving. I, like millions of people around the world, have found YouTube to be a rather reliable, entertaining, informative, even inspiring feature on the internet. Now, sure, there's a lot of nonsense on there. And sure, there's a lot of people who are sharing way too much information about their personal lives. But I think that more often than not, the good, the inspiring, the helpful far outweigh any of the crazy stuff that's on there. And case in point, our YouTube channel, which was created about a year ago, has enabled us through this year of pandemic to stay close to our parishioners, those that are local, those who have moved to other states, and even those who have moved to countries abroad. The reason for my mentioning that all of this is that on this date, April the 23rd, 2005, the very first YouTube video was posted, and the rest is history. I was thinking about all of this today when I read the first reading, the famous story of the conversion of St. Paul. At that point, he is still known by his original name, Saul. This is a depiction of the moment when he falls off the horse by the great, great artist Caravaggio. The story is well known to all of us, the story of his persecuting Christians. Then he has that moment where there's a flash of lightning. He falls from the horse. He is blinded. He hears the voice of Jesus. And he is now lost and has to figure out what happens next. Enter an important character, a man named Ananias. He's an important part of this story. And that's why I'm thinking about him right now. And today I'm also thinking about what it would be like if Ananias was around today and he had his own YouTube channel and that he created a vlog about his encounter with Paul. There's more than one person in the New Testament who has the name Ananias. The name comes from the Hebrew and it means God is gracious. So Ananias is given a mission by the Lord Jesus, who appears to him and says, I want you to go look for this guy named Saul, the guy that's been persecuting Christians. That's who I want you to go and see. And I can imagine Ananias at this moment, maybe he gets out his camera gear and he starts to vlog this experience, and you can almost imagine him with the camera, recording himself as he's on the street to see where he can find this man now named Paul. Now, maybe as he's traveling on the street, Ananias might talk about his own nervousness, his worry about meeting this man who had been persecuting Christians. Actually, if you read the story, Ananias shared his fear with the Lord, and the Lord said, yeah, I got it, but you still have to go. So I can imagine, Ananias is walking down the street. He's taking film of the streets that he is kind of going through, the people that are walking by. Maybe he's wondering aloud why on earth Jesus has chosen this murderous, bigoted man to have a new mission to bring the good news to the world. And maybe there was the moment when he finally found Paul, the blind Paul, that he handed the camera to somebody else, so that they could record the moment in which Ananias lays his hands on Paul and his sight is restored. And maybe later he'd have that camera out because we're told they had something to eat, that maybe as they were eating, he would encourage Paul to share his story. Tell me about the whole experience. Like, do you have any regrets about what you did? How did you get to such a dark place in your life? What was that experience with Jesus like? And hey, Paul, what are your hopes for the future right now? I would like to think that in many ways, those questions could be asked of all of us throughout our life, not necessarily in a YouTube vlog, but in our daily reflections. What are your regrets in life? Have you known a moment of darkness in your life? Have you experienced in the moment of regret or the moment of darkness the presence of Jesus, who is calling you to freedom, who is trying to bring you into the light, who is trying to open your eyes? And in light of all of that, what are your hopes for the future? I think those are all really great questions for us to ponder during the Easter season. They're great questions that can guide us throughout our lives. You know, the very first YouTube video was posted by one of the YouTube founders, a man who I believe his name is pronounced Jawed Karim. And the name of the video was simply Me at the Zoo. And it's the only post that he put on his channel, and it's exactly what the title suggests: Karim looking at animals in the zoo. A year after he posted this only video on his channel, he and his fellow creators sold the YouTube platform to Google for $1.6 billion. Today, 1 billion hours of content is viewed on YouTube every single day. And it all began with a man looking at animals in the zoo. And so it goes with the story of faith. A man falls off a horse. He hears a voice from heaven. He's blind, then he can see, and then begins to spread a message of faith throughout the world and throughout the centuries. And so it goes with us. A small decision for each of us to stop and to listen and to hear the voice of Jesus. That can have a lasting and important effect, not only on us, but on others. It can have an effect, our listening, our paying attention, in ways that we could never imagine.